This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Boy, interesting night in the Big 12 last night. Houston, the only road team to win last night. The number 5 Cougars go to Tempe and take down Arizona State 80-65. Kind of feel like Houston's really rolling right now. They're not going to be derailed to win the Big 12, at least the regular season title.
Feels like it's their title to win unless they fall flat on their face.
Yep.
Even if they came here and lost, you would still think they have a pretty good chance to win it.
Number 8 Iowa State 79-65. You know, it's funny how they've kind of gotten off the, at least maybe my radar, and I don't know about yours, but just kind of felt like that hadn't been talking about them for a little while, and then they're sneaky back up there. You know, you know they're 21-5, 11-4, they're tied with the Red Raiders for third, behind Arizona, who's 12-3 now, and Houston is 14-1 in the conference. I'm not totally surprised that they lost, but I am surprised at the margin of defeat for Kansas last night. Man, they just got, smoked from the beginning.
34.
91-57. They're going to drop out of the top 25. And this comes out of after their coach saying after a Utah loss, because it was a two-city trip for them, playing Utah and Salt Lake and then Provo, which is about 45 minutes away from there, to take on BYU. It's basically saying, I'm tired of you guys. I'm tired of regrouping. You need to play like men. I mean, so kind of read on the riot act, and you had guys saying, well, we need to play for the front of the jersey and not the back of the jersey. Well, they sure didn't. I didn't see any of that game last night, but I mean, it was.
Maybe they did. They just don't think that highly of Kansas.
Maybe so.
Well, and to jump off of something that
I can relate.
That Chuck just said there, you know, you said they're going to fall out of the top 25. If their name was anything other than Kansas, they'd have been out of the top 25 2 weeks ago.
Maybe a week ago, but yeah, no, you're not wrong on that.
Like they have this team
and a 16 seed, albeit two. I think that to me that was the bigger, I think, shock over the weekend is that they were one of the 16 seeds.
I mean, they still got a pretty decent RPI, not RPI, the index.
Ken Palm and all that kind of stuff.
They still got a decent number there. So, I mean, that makes sense. But a 16, it's just, if they weren't Kansas, if they were Virginia Tech, they'd have been out of the top 25 a week ago.
You're probably right about that. But I think to me the bigger point is that they seem like they're spiraling right now.
Yes, and you wonder if there's a little bit of give up there.
Yeah, and where does that take them? So
I should also say I'm not picking on Virginia Tech there. They were just the first name I pulled that wasn't like a Michigan basketball school.
Right. Tonight in the Big 12, you got a couple of games. Cincinnati plays West Virginia. That's Tech's next opponent. This will be in Morgantown tonight. Both those teams are 15-10 on the regular year, and then UCF plays at Oklahoma State. Two teams that, not really going anywhere. They're going to go to Kansas City in a couple of weeks for the Big 12 tournament, but that'll be it unless somebody goes on quite the roll there, right? And as far as West Virginia is concerned, they're 6-8. They're 15-10. So they got 6 games left. Probably still. They probably look at this game tonight, and then they look at Saturday and go, "Hey, we win a couple of here, and we're going to be back in the discussion for the NCAA tournament."
Maybe.
Because I think that's how TCU feels this morning.
That was a big win for them, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean they're 8-7. They're 15-11. They're right there with Baylor. And for TCU, let's see who they have left on their schedule. They have at Cincinnati on Saturday, and then they go to West Virginia on Tuesday. So that makes sense. And then they finish at home on the 1st and the 4th, and then they go to Colorado. So they play UCF at home on the 1st, Baylor at home on the 4th, and then at Colorado. So that's pretty favorable for them the rest of the way when you consider kind of who they've played here recently with Texas Tech and Iowa State, sandwiched in between Oklahoma State and Arizona State. So, if they went on a run and let's just say they won 4 of their last 5, that's going to make a real impression for them to make it to the tournament.
Sure.
I would think. So anyway, that's the take on that. Is this a one-off or is this concerning from last night for Tech?
I think it's a one-off. I kind of think it was give TCU some credit. They knew it was a big game for them and a big resume boost for them. It's a rival. It's as we've seen, that's now 5 in a row that you've lost there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough place for Tech to win for whatever reason, because usually there's a lot of Red Raider fans there.
Yeah, and there were fans there last night. You could hear the Raider power they had a lot of TCU fans. They retired Desmond Bain's jersey last night, which I don't know, it seemed kind of odd to me, but just
not as odd as Terrence Shannon.
Well, yeah, right. At least they got. They hung his jersey on the wall, and retired his number 1. But I guess from the reason I say that it was just kind of odd is he's only 26.
Yeah.
And he played
in a hurry.
Yeah, they did it in a hurry. Right. They did it in a hurry. So I don't know what their process is there for.
Yeah, it's fast, but I'm also of the opinion that if somebody is deserving, they're deserving. Why wait? If we were to retire the number 5 right now for both of the 2 guys that wore it for Tech football, it wouldn't be fast enough for what those 2 guys did. Right?
Yeah.
Period. End of sentence. But that's not what we did. And that's not what we're going to do, because you don't really retire football numbers here. But you're going to tell me retiring Andre Emmett's number wasn't a little late? Because no one's going to be better than what he was here for a long, long time, for what he meant to the program and everything else. And it's a no-brainer. No-brainer, stop wasting time. Honor your history.
640. He only averaged 13 points a game, 12.7. He played in a lot of games, 141 games, led him to an NIT title.
Yeah, I didn't take him to high heights or anything like that.
Yeah, so
it's just weird to me.
It was a little strange to me.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I have time for this day in sports history. Today is February the 19th, 2025. Here is Jeff McGuire with this day in sports history.
1952, gentlemen. American defending champion Dick Button becomes the first figure skater to land a triple jump in competition. He performs a triple loop in the Olympic free skate in Oslo and wins the gold medal.
And he just recently passed away.
Oh, well, how about that?
Yeah, 90-something years old. But he had a great life.
Okay.
Gold medalist there.
Yeah, he was figure skating extraordinaire. Male figure skater. History in the dictionary, Dick Button.
Okay.
Class guy.
Big day for Chris Snead on this day in history. 1965, the NFL adds a 6th official. This would be the line judge.
Okay. But he's not an NFL official.
No, but adding the official. So the official likes when officials get added.
Okay.
1978, in the 20th Daytona 500, Bobby Allison takes the lead with 11 laps remaining. He would be the lowest starting position at 33rd to win the Daytona 500 until 2007. 1987, less than a month after re-signing, Oakland A's pitcher Vida Blue retires.
Vida was on his back of his jersey. Just Vida.
Thank you, Chuck. My little note here. Wait for Chuck's Vida Blue story. It's a good one. Because it was just it's different than everything. I'm not mocking.
I think you did that, Chuck. Not him mocking you. Why do you think?
I'm not mocking.
Why do you think he put Vita in?
I don't know, because it was all about Vita.
It was all about the Vita.
2019.
He was a peacock before there were peacocks, really, in baseball. He was like he was a peacock of the 70s.
Big personality.
I don't know about but I just think he just wanted everybody to, he was it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, a whole world of those now.
We do, right?
2019. Four-time Major League Baseball All-Star and third baseman Manny Machado agrees to the biggest free agent contract in American sports history. 10-year deal worth $300 million with the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, well, Juan Soto says...
Hold my beer.
Yeah.
And in 2022, Bryson Williams went for 17 points and 6 rebounds, while Clarence had only scored 14 to help lead the number 11 Texas Tech Red Raiders to a 61-55 win over number 20 Texas on Saturday at the Frank Irwin Center. It is National Chocolate Mint Day.
I'm a big fan. Mint chocolate chip ice cream, all that kind of stuff.
Well, no, this is chocolate mint, not mint chocolate. This is like the dinner mints, the Andy's dinner mint kind of thing.
Okay, well, I'm a fan of those two.
Well, I'm just pointing you in the right direction of what we're
How is
looking.
that different? I mean, it's chocolate and mint.
Well, it is different. Like mint chocolate chip is mint ice cream with chocolate in it. Okay. This is a mint, like a dinner mint that is by definition not ice cream, obviously.
All right.
A dinner mint.
Happy birthday to one of our favorite Super Bowl commercials. Seal is 62. Smokey Robinson, 85. Haley Duff is 40. Dave Stewart, 68. And June Jones is 72. And this feels really fitting since it's 7 degrees. 1847, the first rescuers are reaching the surviving members of the Donner Party, a group of California-bound immigrants stranded in the snow in the Sierra Nevada mountains. News of the stranded Donner Party traveled fast to Sutter Fort when the rescue party set out on January 31st. Notice it's the 19th. They wouldn't arrive until Donner Lake, now named Donner Lake, 20 days later. They found the completely snowbound and the surviving immigrants delirious with relief at their arrival. Rescuers fed the starving group as well as they could and then began evacuating them. 3 more rescue parties arrived for help, but the return to Sutter Fort proved equally harrowing. And the last survivors didn't reach safety until late April.
Gosh.
Of the 89 original members of the Donner Party, only 45 reached California. And yes, this is that Donner Party that had to resort to cannibalism to survive. And that's this day in sports history.
All right, 6:50 this morning here on the morning drive. We get this. Somebody wanted to know what is the format for the Big 16 tournament. Okay, I like that. It's Big 12, but we know that's sarcasm there. So this is the way that it works. The 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds have a double bye. Okay. And then so the Big 12 men's tournament gets underway on Tuesday, March 11th. The 12, 13, 9, 16, 10, 15, and 11, 14 all play. And then the next day, the 5 through 8 seeds plays the winners of those respective games.
5 through 8 has a single bye, right?
5 through 8 has a single bye. That's correct. Yeah. So 5 plays the winner of 12, 13, 8, 9, 16, and it goes from
Odds
there.
of 9 through 16 winning, just not very good.
No, because you would have to play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yeah. So if
a team went through that, there would probably be some sort of lawsuit overworking the kids.
Oh, okay.
Some
Sure.
rule.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the turnaround is really quick, between Tuesday and Wednesday, and then obviously Thursday as well. But because, in the past, when there was 12 teams, you'd have those, 11 o'clock games, but then it would get whittled down pretty quick so that you could have, night games or late afternoon games. So you'd at least have 24 hours or something like that. But it's going to be really, really tough to be in that be in that boat. But that's the price you pay for not winning games in the regular year.
Sure.
And the Lady Raiders are going to be in that boat first full week of March when they go to Kansas City to play. So they play tonight. They take on Cincinnati tonight. We'll have the broadcast for you at 5:30. The tip at 6 tonight on 107.7, the Red Dirt Rebel. You want to know the big thing tonight? The big number? You want to know my number tonight?
Yes, go more than the other team.
Play hard, play together, play smart.
Mm-hmm.
That's play hard, play smart, play together.
I said it wrong on purpose.
Yeah.
Because they need to do the first thing first.
Okay, well, the biggest thing that they need to do is win second chance points. Because when Cincinnati wins, they win second chance points.
Okay.
So they're an offensive rebounding team, so you got to limit that. And then the other thing they do is they can score inside. They score. They don't make a lot of threes per se, but they make a lot of twos, and they draw a lot of fouls. They get to the free throw line. They have 23. They average 23 attempts per ball game. So
wow, that is a big number.
So they get to the free throw line a lot. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. They make 16 twos a game. By contrast, the Lady Raiders make 14 twos a game. So you got to make some twos. You got to limit their free throw attempts, and you got to win the rebounding battle, especially the offensive rebounds. So getting defensive rebounds is really, really critical tonight.
They really need to have more than one player play tonight.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit, or you could have quote one player play, but I mean, if your high point person, which is what's been happening, is 5 for 16 or whatever, that makes it really hard. I mean, you can even out the scoring a little bit, but you're not wrong. I mean, having more than one player play tonight would be great. Like score.
Jamie and I were talking about this yesterday. How many times have there been 3 Lady Raiders that scored in double figures?
I don't know, but here's the more disturbing fact. Really, is that you have one double on the year. One. But I heard you say that, and multiple players like 3 in double figures. I'd have to go back and look, but it's not very many
we're just
games.
talking 10 points.
No, I know that.
That's 5 buckets.
Hey, man, when you're averaging like 60 points a game, those are hard to come by.
That's why it was play together, play smart, play hard, because they are playing hard.
You're averaging, 58 points a ball game. Your opponents are averaging 68, but you got to score more than that, obviously. 6:55 this morning here in the morning.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. We'll have the high school fan zone for you on tonight as coaches from Friendship, Cooper, and Liberty all will pay a visit between 6 and 7:30. That'll be on 100.7 The Score. And then we'll have Lady Raider basketball tonight from the arena. They take on Cincinnati. Airtime 5:30, the tip at 6 on 107.7, the Red Dirt Rebel. Tech basketball. Somebody asked this question real quick. I've got it right here for you. How many turnovers did we have last night? 13. 8 in the first half. And then TCU had 17 points off of your 13 turnovers, and Tech had 9 off of 9 TCU turnovers. And I really think the thought going into the game was that TCU was going to have more turnovers than you. I mean, some of the turnovers last night for the Red Raiders were just careless.
Yeah, you've done a much better job of forcing turnovers and taking care of the basketball than your opponents on the season. So it was disappointing to see you struggle in that area.
And some of them were just unforced errors too, or just not being able to take. You just had an unfortunate over and back in the backcourt. You had passes that went awry and things like that. TCU came into the game averaging 12 turnovers a game. Tech went into the game averaging 10.7, so 11. But still, it felt like that you were going to be able to turn them over more than they. The other thing that was disturbing last night was the rebounding. They out-rebounded you 37-29, Jamie.
Wow.
And offensive rebounds, they had 15 offensive rebounds to your 7. You had 9 points, you had 10 second chance points off of those 7 offensive rebounds, but they had 17 off of their 15. So, and you look at the 17 points that are second chance, and then you look at what they had from the free throw line, going 15 to 22. I mean, they were making a case, and I thought it was a good case. At the half, TCU probably should have led by more than 8. They probably should have led by 10, 12 points, maybe. And then you just once you got over the hump, you couldn't keep it over the hump in the second half. So credit TCU. They had 3 in double figures. Their 2 high point guys had 16 points. So I mean, it's weird. I mean, it's weird how you look at some of these numbers and go, well, that's really not that impressive. That's really not that impressive. That's really not that impressive. Yet they won the ball game. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, they
found a way.
They shot 41% from the field. They made 24 field goals. You made 26.
Yeah, they played just a little bit better in a couple of those different areas. You talked about the points in the paint, the rebounding, the second chance points, and
free throw line
turnovers, and then free throws.
Yeah, I mean,
where they just really didn't dominate you per se in any of those areas, but just a little bit better.
So they moved their record to 15-11, 8-7 in conference play. Texas Tech drops to 20-6, 11-4. And look, I mean, 11-4, man, we would have been thrilled, 6 weeks ago to be 11-4, but now 11-4 is like, nah, man, that's disappointing. Mm-hmm. It just kind of shows you how the tail changes. All right, so now with the 5 games left for the Red Raiders, you feeling 5-1? Because you'd have to win your last 5.
No. Probably feeling 4-2.
Okay, the Houston game is the one that's the difference maker, right?
Yes.
And that game is here. It just doesn't feel like you're going to have to step up your basketball. And look, West Virginia is going to be no patsy, and that should be that joint should be jamming on Saturday. I mean, it's going to be 50 degrees. I mean, I know you got some baseball going on, but it's only going to take a couple hours out of your day to go watch the hoops. You can go over to Rip Griffin Park if you'd like. Kind of get you juiced up for the Monday game. They take on Houston. And then travel a week from Saturday to Kansas. That's a 1 o'clock tip. Have a home game on the 5th against Colorado, and then at Arizona State to finish up the season in Tempe on a Saturday night. At least it's Saturday night our time, 7 o'clock tip our time. So yeah, you got 5 left. You take 4-1 at this point, would you, or would you not?
Yeah, I probably would.
Okay, no matter how it slices. But so rank these 5
but
for
at
me.
The same time, I feel like you have a chance to win that game against Houston. You obviously beat them on the road. It'll be a great atmosphere on Monday night. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think you got a shot.
So
I don't know that I would take 4-1.
Okay, so rank these 5, not necessarily just in order of toughness. So you got West Virginia, Houston, at Kansas, Colorado, and at Arizona State. Easiest to toughest.
Easiest is Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
At Arizona State, second easiest.
Okay.
I'm forgetting one. Houston. Houston is the toughest, obviously.
West Virginia.
At Kansas is
the second toughest.
Yes, and then home for West Virginia.
Home for West Virginia is the third. Yeah, I think I'd agree with you on that. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens here. 7:21 this morning here on the morning drive. All right, so they retired Desmond Bane's number yesterday, number 1 for TCU, and we've had a lot of discussion, football, it seems like, over the years of who should be in the Ring of Honor. So here's who's in the Ring of Honor on the men's side right now: Andre Emmett, Dub Malaise, Jim Reed, and Rick Bullock. Who should be next?
Okay, someone needs to say something before the off-air sensor goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, is it?
If you were to tell me Keenan Evans goes in, Keenan Evans goes in, I'm not upset. I don't know that he needs to be next. If you were to tell me any one of those 5 guys goes in, that came in together, Norris and Justin, I don't know that I would be upset with any of those guys.
What about Jarrett Culver?
I wouldn't be upset with Jarrett Culver, but I don't know that they need to be next.
What about Jason Sasser?
I think he is in. No, I told you he wasn't.
Yeah, you just read the names.
Yeah, I read the names. I'm going off of Wikipedia, and I've been efforting to make sure I had all of the right names. But I'm certain that I don't think that Sasser's in yet. But I may be wrong about that.
I mean, and that's the cat. Like, there's a bunch that could be that would not bother me at all. Mm-hmm. It's also been a small group that you've got up there, and retired numbers that are up there. That, unlike other sports, you're kind of limited on what you can use for basketball.
Somebody says off the chat line, it's got to be Culver or Keenan Evans for sure. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. So, but we just don't talk about that as much as we do football. Mm-hmm. And part of that is just from the standpoint that in recent history you've been pretty successful, but you had a long stretch with football where you were pretty successful. With some star players.
Yeah, I mean, even more successful in basketball than football, though.
Yeah, here recently.
Played for a national championship.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. That's very fair. 7:25 this morning here. Somebody wants to know about could Coach Dickey get in? I don't think so.
I'd like that.
I would too, but I don't think that's likely to happen. I don't think. If this team faces a big, tall team in the first round, will we be one and done just like last year?
Maybe. Depends how well Federico plays and how well you shoot.
Mm-hmm. And how well you crash the boards and take care of the basketball, but that makes it a problem.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, we are talking Big 12 football today. I would like you gentlemen, our fine listening audience, to tell me, in order, the 3 coaches in the Big 12 that have the most pressure on them in 2025. And it can be from a variety of reasons.
Okay. The 3 coaches that have the most pressure in 2025. Is this like how we see it, or how we think the national people see it, or just this is just our little humble opinion, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I think I think Joey McGuire tops the list because you had the number 1 portal class. You spent $10 million on it. You spent roughly $30 million on your payroll. You've got a brand new south end zone that you've opened. You've got a brand new football building that you've opened. You have a fan base that feels like that you have come up a little bit short, even though you won 8 games last year. You lost your bowl game. You won previous bowl games. So I'm going to put Coach McGuire at number 1. I'm going to put Mike Gundy at number 2 because coming off of a terrible season, and there's just a lot of expectations there. And number 3, they don't really hold feet to the fire there. So I'll put TCU and Sonny Dykes at number 3 because I think that's another school that spends a lot of money. They got to a national championship game and then they kind of fell flat on their face last year, even though they beat Texas Tech. So I'll go Coach McGuire, Mike Gundy, and Sonny Dykes.
Okay.
I don't disagree with Chuck that there's pressure on McGuire, but when I think of this question, McGuire is not getting fired at the end of this year unless you go over. Like
That's fair.
it's going to take something insane.
Sure.
When I think of pressure, I think of who is coaching for their job this year. The top of this list is Mike Gundy. You can't do what Oklahoma State did. That's not what they expect. He's been at it with the administration there. Like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for Oklahoma State with Gundy the last few years. And as the longest tenured coach in the Big 12, I'm shocked that I'm putting him on this list. Number 2 on my list, Dave Aranda. He saved his job last year, but you don't quiet all of those fans with one season. Mm-hmm. So he's still under pressure carrying over from last year. And third on my list, and Chuck brings up a very good point, is Sonny at TCU. They have, been to the mountaintop and crashed very, very hard afterwards. They need a bounce back year, or I could see TCU making a change. So those would be the 3 that I would put in the coaching to keep coaching category for under pressure.
Okay, well, I agree with a lot of what you guys say and disagree with a lot of what you guys say.
Well, that's good. If we all agreed, it would be a boring show.
It's a normal day.
Number 1 on my list, I think, is Mike Gundy. Feel like it was close to happening after this year. Jeff touched on the fact that, he's had issues with the administration, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. I think he's at the point where a decent percentage of the fan base there at Oklahoma State is tired of his act. Yeah. And so 0-9, clearly will turn a lot of people against you.
Sure.
So I think they have to be significantly better this year. At least 500, above 500 in Big 12 play if he's going to keep his job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think he's number 1. I think number 2 is Brent Brennan of Arizona.
Oh, okay.
They were expected to be a conference contender this past year. They don't really have the excuses that Utah has with losing their quarterback and all that. Mm-hmm. And they also, Brennan doesn't have the skins on the wall with the Arizona people for them to give him a long honeymoon period. Mm-hmm. So I think that dude they have to be way better this year if that dude is going to keep his job. Okay? And number 3 on my list, I think it's Joey McGuire at Texas Tech. I think it would take a colossal failure for him to get fired this year. I do not think that is going to happen. Yeah. But there is absolute pressure on him, in my opinion. I mean, he's continued to take steps forward, and I think everybody's excited about that. But when you spend the money that you spent and you feel like the conference is winnable, then, you weren't that far off last year, right?
Right.
And then you brought all these new guys in, and you're one of the top spending teams in the country. I feel like that brings pressure. Again, I don't think even if you went 4-5, you're in conference play, you're probably going to get fired. I still don't think that would be the case, but I do think there's definitely pressure on him.
Yeah. Especially with, like you said, with all the money that's been spent. And
I don't think TCU, you talk about them needing a bounce back. Jeff, they won 9 games last year.
Doesn't feel like it though.
That's partly fair. I think, and I also think, at Baylor, I think he's good for a while. I think Dave Aranda's good for a while.
I feel like
maybe if they were bad this year and then next year he could get canned, but I feel like he held off all those people.
I kind of feel like in this way, Baylor fans are a lot like Tech fans. We remember the losses a lot more than we remember the wins.
Now, don't ever say that ever.
I know. I feel dirty about saying it. But with regards to the fan base, the 1 year doesn't
cover up crimes here.
No, I said fan base, not administration. It's different.
Well, there was that whole Popeyes thing.
But the concept that one good stretch doesn't make up for 2 seasons of disappointment. The loss is way heavier than the wins make up, and I think that's kind of where he's sitting right now at Baylor.
That's fine. That's fine.
And that's why I put him in that category.
I thought about putting Dion on there because I think everybody now wants to know, okay, Dion, you had 2 incredible superstars on your team. Can you do it without those guys?
Mm-hmm. One of whom was your son.
Yeah. Can you do it without those guys?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he did such a good job last year that he's got some free play here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wanted to say Kansas State, but they won 9 games last year too. But I feel like those folks probably feel like, hey, we need a little more.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. No reason to push the panic button from last night, right?
If you're wanting to win the conference regular season title, yes.
Yeah, I think that's settled now, right?
Yeah, but you've put yourself in a spot where you still have a shot at the number 2 spot,
mm-hmm.
right? But that's a little bit more difficult because you're now a game behind Arizona. Iowa State ties you for 3rd, so. I mean, you can look at last night and say, you might have slipped from 2 to 4 when it all said and done, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Because, I mean, you could still get to 2 and you could still be 3, but the top 4 is what matters, right? Because that's the double bye.
Mm-hmm.
1 through 4. You're still 2 games ahead of BYU, who's in 5th place. And doesn't there feel like a seismic gap between those 4 schools and BYU?
Yes.
It really does to me.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I'm wondering how much the Big 12 tournament. Let's just say you go 4-1, okay, the rest of the way, and so you get to 15-5 in the tournament. And how important is the Big 12 tournament to you? And what's the difference in winning? Let's just say winning 1 or 2 games and going from a 4 seed to a 3 seed. Could you play yourself into, if you go 4-1 and you win a couple of games in the Big 12, can you play yourself to a 3 seed in the tournament?
Depends on how close you are, I guess.
Well, because you took a step back last night, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you go 4-1 and your loss is at Kansas, I think that's a better 4-1 than winning at Kansas and losing at home to Houston.
Probably right.
Just because of where Houston is. I mean, they're the number 5 team in the country.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And that's a road game.
I wouldn't choose it that way, but
if you could be 4-1,
yeah.
You'd take the loss over Houston versus a win over Kansas?
Yes.
Really?
I would.
Jeff, how about you? Would you take the win over Houston at home, the number 5 team in the country?
I fully admit that you would probably be better for your resume to win the game against Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the angst towards Houston that I do.
Kansas. I understand that.
I don't want to lose to a bad Kansas team.
You don't get many opportunities to win at Allen Fieldhouse, and this feels like a good one. I know you've done it before, but it feels like a good one. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to lose to a bad Kansas team. I don't mind losing.
I don't know that they're bad. They're just not good like they usually are.
For a Kansas team, they are bad.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose to one of those. So, no. I wouldn't take the whenever and then lose there.
I think the gain of Houston winning over Houston at home is very marginal.
You do.
Compared to winning or compared to losing at Kansas. Yeah. Very marginal.
Wow.
Houston's a ranked loss. Kansas won't be.
It's on the road compared to it home. Yeah. I want it to be a lot of fun Monday night, though.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Somebody says, how about we win both? Well, of course.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Sure,
Okay,
of course. I'm just saying.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, let's do that.
I'm just saying, if you think you're going to go 4-1 and you had to pick the loss, whatever I say is going to sound biased.
Yeah, and if you had told me that you were going to go
15-5.
No, I would have also said that if you're going to lose 2, I would have said I don't want one of them to be TCU either because I don't like TCU.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. No, I understand that. I mean, if you'd have said you were going to go 5-1 down the stretch, your last 6 games, because now you could still go 5-1. You have to win all 5 of your games. You would have said, yeah, I don't want to lose to TCU and I don't want to lose to Kansas. I'll take the loss to Houston.
Yeah.
Would you have said that?
Yeah. So, I mean, moving to Monday night, you got to believe there's going to be a lot of emotion in that game, right?
Oh, my God, yes. Especially, and somebody says this, better worry about West Virginia before all that. I get you. Especially if you win on Saturday. You beat West Virginia on Saturday, and you're going to feel great going into Monday's game against Houston. You don't want to go in there with a 2-game losing streak, obviously. But
if you were picking right now, would you pick us to win on Monday?
Yeah, boy.
Like his batteries ran out halfway through that. I think I would say yes.
Yes, because I think the joint's going to be jumping.
Yeah, I just think the atmosphere is going to be awesome.
I mean, they're not going to embarrass the Red Panda. They're going to,
Really? That's who they're worried about embarrassing.
I don't know if he can ride a unicycle, but it'd be awesome if Coach McCaslin during shoot around rode the Red Panda's unicycle.
No,
kind of fire the troops.
Because the last thing I want is my coach to do riding on a unicycle, fall down and break his leg, and then he can't coach a game.
Oh, he can still coach with a broken leg.
Yeah,
he'll be at the hospital getting it set.
Who's that guy in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago that was on a chair? He was on a rolling chair. That was the head coach.
Oh, yeah. He tore his Achilles.
Injured himself coaching. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Coach McCaslin could do that.
Yeah.
He'd be at the hospital getting his leg set. He'd miss the game. He could coach the next game in a crouch.
He'd have a hard time crouching because he really likes to crouch.
He's a croucher.
I love how he gets after his team, and I love how they respond too. I just wish
they would have done it last night.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, going back to the we're not pushing the panic button. No, we're nowhere close to that. I'm absolutely pushing the frustrated button. Like, that is getting banged the heck out of, because that's a game you should have won last night. That you are a better team than TCU, and you didn't perform up to what you are capable of.
Yeah.
But all sports teams have bad days.
Right, which is why the frustrating button is not near as loud as the panic button.
Feels like the lower level you go, the more likely it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just like we have bad days at work.
Yeah.
Sometimes people have bad days driving. That's why I don't give them one finger salutes when I get cut off, because you never know when it's going to be your coworker.
Yeah. You got the finger too?
No, I didn't do it.
Okay.
She cut me off. I didn't cut her off.
Yeah, she cut you off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it wasn't me.
She didn't really cut me off. She pulled out in front of me.
I'm just very careful now when I'm
getting her coffee at a local coffee shop, and just right out there in front of me.
Boom. Right like that.
Boom. It was almost a boom.
Somebody says this is typical Texas Tech sports, play down to your opponent.
I mean, that's anybody.
Yeah. Houston's game is their game before us is Saturday at home against number 8 Iowa State.
Oh.
That'll be a barn burner.
Should be
at the Fertitta Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody's not a fan of Doug Sermons, who was one of the officials last night. Doug Sermons has a bad day at work every time he works. No, I don't agree with that.
I can't even be mad at the officiating.
I wasn't.
This loss was totally on the players.
Yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't mad at the officiating.
I would love to blame it on somebody else. This was you being dumb.
Well, I mean, we just didn't play very well.
Didn't play your best. I mean, it doesn't make you dumb.
I mean, you got a couple fouls early on JT Toppin. That changes things.
Does. He's pretty important.
Yeah, National Player of the Week, All of a sudden you got to sit him a little bit, or he's got to play a little bit more. I don't want to use the word cautious, but it does affect your game though when you have two fouls.
You want it to.
Yeah, he did a good job he did a good job of managing that.
Yeah.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.